Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater, and today we're going to be reading episode 61 of Trailer Park Warlock. So, picking up from where we last left off in Trailer Park Warlock, Plantu and Darla might have messed up. Might have messed up what they were trying to do. And so the concern, of course, on Plantu's mind is, that's it, we're trapped in this sigil, right? So, we're going to see what's happened. We're going to see if they make it out, how they make it out, if they do. Nevertheless, here we go. So we're going to start here with Dan. We haven't seen Dan in a hot minute. Master, surely you've played too brash a hand this night. Is that it? Everybody just sees Plantu's hand here, or arm. Zoom in on that. Trailer Park Warlock. What infernal work of angels? No, 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 screw this! Darla, temperance, mon ami. Do not risk breaking it further. We're not staying another second in this stupid fun house. Bam. Be ready to play fetch, Jack. This is too great a risk. S'il vous plaît, we can... Thoom. So she's transformed into her bull form now. Darla, do not do this. Clop, clop, clop. Thoom. Strack, zrick. Oh. And so the sigil gets reactivated. And we see Darla here doing some magical stuff. Now she's just like going through basically all the timelines in the Will of Abandon. Come at me, Daywalker. Boom. Avoiding Plantu. Avoiding Plantu's lowest will, I should say. Clarify, right? And we're back in the arena here. And we see something going on with Plantu's hand. What infernal work of angels is this? Srack. Darla! Pop. And so now she's feeding basically the portal that was created through the Will of Abandon. Darla is feeding Plantu's hand through it. How grotesque. What? Hey, isn't that kind of like what I caught you and Brad doing last night? Jerry, Dad's right there. Come on, man. Take it. I know you're there. What a feat, madame. Whoop. Of course. One has to question and wonder about the logical conundrum that is. How did she feed Plantu's arm through there? Merci. All is coming together. Ah, this is quite stiff, though. I have been blessed, far too blessed for my transgressions. Now I bring these troubles to an end. Poor Plantu with his dinky feeder arm. This is a very, very short episode, by the way. I think I mentioned this last time. This was another one of those episodes where it's like, I just need to get things done. I need to move the story forward. And so we see Darla really take action, right? She's basically unlocked parts of her way of using the Will of Abandon that I would say the way she's using it is very it's not deliberate in the sense that she's not thinking it through. She's just doing it, right? Because Darla, as a person who is using magic, I would say is not using it academically. And not that Jake is super academic, but Jake is at least thoroughly trained, and Darla is not, so she's kind of just going with it. Anyway, some other thoughts about this episode. One of the jokes that I did want to have in here is just like kind of the impossibility, right? Because, I mean, from the beginning, this whole thing is sort of wackadoo anyway. And I wanted to make sure that the way that it resolves is also equally wackadoo. So this was one of my favorite little like just I don't know, pictorially very unusual and seemingly implausible sort of ways, right, to resolve this thing. And of course, we're going to see more of how that resolves next episode. But we're not talking about next episode, are we? I feel like I want to fill out this whole commentary a little bit more, just because this episode is so short. Um, and it's a little bit complicated for me to figure out because it's so to the point. This episode's so to the point, I guess. And it works on some levels. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now is like, where does it work? Where does it not work? It works on some levels because it's like, oh, okay, we are beginning to finally resolve this whole thing that's been going on for what, 5, 6 episodes. Um, and that's sort of like a way of relieving tension, right, within the plot because there had been so much build up till this point where it's like, well, how are they going to get out? There were also several episodes where it's like you need the explanation of like what the heck is going on anyway, right? Um, so for me, this episode was like kind of kind of the first exhalation after this long tense inhalation. And next episode we get into what I think is sort of well, the next 2 episodes are like the big emotional resolutions to everything. Because it's going to be about Pontu coming to peace with everything that he's done, and vice versa for everybody else, except for Darla, right? Darla's the one interesting position in all this because her only connection with any of this had to do with Jake, and she's just like trying to get Jake back, right? And she got caught up in all this other crap because of Pontu. Um, another thing that I was just like, another thing that was fun about this episode was finally coming back to all these other characters like Dan and Bev and Hampton. I probably have said this before, but Hampton was one of my favorite characters to draw in this season. Just because, for one reason, Hampton is inspired by a character I'd made earlier in life. I guess going all the way back into high school. And I had like this experimental art band, I guess you would call it. And in this experimental art band, everybody had a character, and my character was Dr. Hamsterville, who was this uh, professor of the night. He was a vampire, um, like an intellectual whatever. And everything with Dr. Hamsterville is just like absurd. Basically the same thing I'm doing nowadays, really, quite frankly. Absurd philosophical jokes that don't really make much sense. Anyway, I always had a character design for him, and so I reincorporated him into Trailer Park Warlock, but as Hampton, which is why his name is Hampton Sturville. If it's only ever dropped once, I think, and I think it's in Night of Wildcats episode. It might have been dropped twice, but I think it's only dropped once, his last name. And clearly, me and like a handful of other people are the only people who would ever actually pick that up. But nevertheless, there's a little bit of trivia for you, right? Some background on where I'm coming up with ideas for characters. And he's not the only one. I make another reference to another character from that project, Captain Crookshank. He appears in the episode Devils of the Sea, and just for a split second, right? It's just one panel, while Jake is watching the TV show Devils of the Sea during that kind of like surreal transition from Pontu and Leah, right? And Pontu's sinking under the water. We transition to Jake watching a television show that's basically all of those events, which is really trippy, right? So anyway, there's going to be in season 4 not an overt reference, but inspired by another character from that. And I think and also in season 4, I drop a name of another character. So like throughout this series, I've kind of weaved in a couple of different like inside jokes. Literally, none of y'all are gonna. I'm gonna have to explain every single one, right? Like I think I explained the Ostino's pizza thing way back earlier in this season. For that, I would go to the episode, the pizza parlor trap. I think that's the one. That. So anyway, point being, right? For me, a big inspiration for coming up with ideas for characters in this story are inside jokes, because that's like where a lot of my own personal lived experience and originality comes from. And I don't expect people to like have, I don't expect people to do, the deep dive into my biography and history to figure out like where I'm coming up with these ideas. That's not something I'm concerned about. I'm more concerned about just like having ideas and things that stick out and are different from what else is out there. And for me, my attempt at doing that, because it's an attempt, doesn't mean it always works out, right? My attempt at doing that is pulling things that are very specifically from my life, from my past, implementing them into the story in creative ways that kind of disjoint themselves, right, from those experiences, because I'm just wanting to incorporate those things. This isn't like, it's not a cry for help. It's like a plea for fun. I guess that's the best way that I could put it. Anyway, if any of those ideas strike y'all as interesting or inspires you in any way, you are certainly welcome to talk with me further about it. If you are a story writer or musician or create or whatever, or just have thoughts about this story, feel free to write to me. You can do so on Twitter. It's at Matt J. Rainwater. Instagram at Matthew Rainwater. Patreon, it's patreon.com/Matt J. Rainwater. But also, you can just leave a comment here, right under the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and we will talk again soon. Until then, hope you're having a good day, and talk to y'all later, all right? Bye.